Before we begin our analysis, an important disclaimer. Market returns are never guaranteed. Research only gives an edge, but the risk management cannot be ignored. Welcome to DK Global Market Insights. Today we are going to explore German stock market, the DAX index, to see whether it is fairly valued or showing warning signs. Let's begin now. Market valuation. First, let us talk about the valuations. Currently, the German market is trading at a price to earning multiple of 24.8 times. That is slightly higher than its 5 years average of 23 and much higher compared to 3 years average of just 17.9. The price to sales ratio stands at 0.9, which is in line with the history. So revenues are steady, but here comes the issue. Earnings for German companies have declined by about 15% per year in last 3 years, while the revenues grew by 2.6% per year. What does it mean? That means the companies are selling more, but the profits are shrinking, mostly because the costs are rising or the companies are reinvesting heavily. So the big picture is sales up, but margins under pressure. Sector trends 1 year. Now let us check which sectors are driving the market over the last 1 year. The overall market is up by around 13% in the past year, but the real winners are industrials up nearly 49%, financials up by 27%, energy up by 15%. On the other hand, some sectors struggled badly. Consumer staples fell almost 20%, real estate is down 13%, healthcare dropped by around 9%. So Germany's cyclical industries like autos and banks were growth engines while defensive sectors lagged. Sector trends in 3 months' time. If you look at just last 3 months, the story changes a bit. Overall market is slightly negative by around 1.2%, but energy is holding strong, up nearly 9%. Industrials also gained about 6%. Meanwhile, tech dropped more than 10%, real estate fell by 9%, and telecom lost around 8%. So in short term, money is rotating into energy and industrials, while tech and real estate sectors are under pressure. Growth forecasts. Looking ahead, what are the analysts expecting? Overall, the German market is forecasted to grow earnings at about 16.8% annually. But the growth will not be equal across the sectors. The energy is expected to grow the fastest with 42% annual earning growth. Materials and real estate are also expected to bounce back strongly with over 30% growth. Consumer discretionary about 23% growth. On the weaker side, financials are expected to grow just 7%, utilities around 13%, consumer staples around 16%. So clearly, the optimism is sector specific. It is not a broad-based growth story. Transition to the chart analysis. Now that we have looked at the valuations and the sector performance, let us move to the chart for multiple time frame technical analysis. We will check the monthly, weekly, and daily charts of the DAX index to understand the long-term trend, medium-term structure, and recent price action. I will also walk you through trend analysis and possible chart patterns. This is the yearly chart of DAX index. I am showing the yearly chart just to emphasize the yearly return year to date. This index has given a return of around 18.5%, while during the same period S&P 500 has given a return of around 13%. So this becomes one of the best indices or markets in the world in the year 2025. Now this is the monthly price chart of DAX index. What we can see since past 4 months, the index is struggling to go past this area and continuously formed a spinning top kind of candlestick pattern that indicates the loss of upside momentum in the index. If we superimpose some of the technical studies that I have already done, look at this trend line which is valid since October 2022. Price has taken support here, price has taken support here, price has taken support here. So this trend line is valid and acting as a dynamic support. Earlier we saw the breakout of a rounding pattern over here, and the target of this rounding bottom pattern, if you use the Fibonacci expansion tool, has already been attained. Considering this trend line, which is acting as a dynamic support, the price seems to be quite overextended over here. Now look at the price action. If we consider this as a prior impulsive wave, which has taken support on this trend line, which happened to be the confluence of EMA 21 as well, then retracement level of 38.2% comes at around 22,300. If you look very closely the price action, this is the area where there is an existence of gap. So the major support for DAX index, considering the gap and the retracement level of 38.2%, this zone 22,300 to 22,600 is the major support area. However, we can look at the interim support level when we go down below in weekly and daily chart. Now, considering the price action over here, the price is struggling to close above this important level, which comes at around 24,000. So 24,000 forms the intermittent resistance area. However, this zone where the long upper shadows can be seen ranges from 24,325 to 24,500 is the major supply area or resistance area. Now, this is the weekly price chart of the index. The most important observation could be this was the major resistance area early as per the historical price action, and then there was a breakout over here, and this breakout was a parabolic rise, and hence it was not at all a quality breakout, and hence the price lost the momentum, corrected, but the earlier resistance area became support, and the price is now trading quite in proximity of this support zone. There is a formation of some kind of doji kind of formation, which is not only doji but also the inside bar kind of formation, quite in proximity of EMA 21. So probably the index is trading quite in proximity of the support area. This area where the resistance existed, which became the support. So immediate intermittent support is 23,100 level. If there is a breakdown and the any candle closes below 23,100, and if there is a follow through of the low of that candle on lower side, then we might see some kind of more corrections in DAX index. Now this is the daily price chart. What the recent price action suggests, this is the immediate resistance area which has a confluence of EMA 55. At the same time, the price is taking support at SMA 144, and the slope of SMA 144 is still inclining up. So the price is likely to remain range bound in this important area, and if the price gives a breakdown, we might see a more correction, and if the price gives a breakout, then we might see once again the trend resumption in DAX index. Macro context. Before we wrap up, let us not forget the bigger picture. The German market is heavily influenced by ECB policy, currency moves, global demand. So external factors matter a lot for DAX compared to the more domestic market like the US. Conclusion. To conclude, valuations are slightly above the averages, so caution is needed. Industrials and energy are leaders while consumer sectors remain weak. Earnings growth is expected, but only in select sectors. The technical chart shows that the price action is almost in the range-bound territory. Trend remains intact, but the further move will be decided only which ways the market gives a breakout. If you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to DK Global Market Insights. Learning never stops with DK Sinha.